we've been talking for several years in this show. I think I have an understanding of where you're going to lie on this, but everybody's been trying to throw some cold water on the double big lineup, and then of course they go triple big last night. Do you think it's in Boston's best interest to always roll with Rob and Al, or is it more match dependent as we get more towards the playoffs?
I think starting games, they're probably going to do double big, just because Al's been so good this year that you don't need you're fine with him covering wings for the most part, and then I think just early in the games being able to funnel everything into Rob.
Celtics Beat is brought to you by FanDuel. Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and make every moment more on America's #1 sportsbook.
It's good for the team because, one, it takes a little bit of pressure on their point of attack defense to be great out the gate, and it allows them to really practice some of their weak side recovery stuff. So it's actually pretty good for having guys communicate and move horizontally across the floor and kind of get into that flow of really working together. So I actually think it's better for them to do that. Because when they don't have Rob out there, it's like very switch heavy, and it's like you're almost playing a zone. I think you can sometimes get kind of like slow down a little bit because you're not having to process as much when you're doing it that way. And then also with Rob out there, they are able to get out and run more because of all the plays he makes at the rim defensively. And so I think it's good for them to get out and run and have energy early on. So I would rather start with Rob and Al out there together. Al has been too good. You can't put him on the bench, so you can't start Derrick because of that. So I would stick with that double big lineup when they're healthy, just because of that one trait that Rob gives them the potential to get off and running early on. Even though their best lineup this year has been Al at the 5 with White in there. And so that's how they're going to close most games, I presume. I don't think Rob's going to close games.
I agree.
Probably certain scenarios, but I mean, that's how it was last year. It's kind of how it's always been for the most part. Sometimes he did, but like Al Horford is close to leading the NBA in shooting. He's been like one of the best shooters in the NBA.
Guy's unbelievable, man.
Yeah,
he's
still playing really good defense. He's still making good reads on offense. Like, he's still a really good player. And so he's one of your best players, and you're going to close with him. And Rob is just not that guy right now. Rob is just not a persistent looming threat on each end in the way that he was last year. He still operates pretty well within his sphere. But like last year, he was just a ball of energy, breaking up stuff all over the place. And right now, he's more just kind of filling his role. More defensively, I think he's actually pretty fine. He's not quite there yet, but he's pretty fine. But just offensively, you just don't really feel his presence through the actions as much anymore. Most of what comes to him is really just cleanup stuff from the dunker spot and the occasional lob. But they haven't really found his rhythm being a functional part of the offense in the same way that he was last year. And so I think that it's possible that, I don't really see them bringing in Rob off the bench to start the games. I just don't think their lineups work that way so much. And they've had a pretty good rotation of like taking out Rob at a certain point and putting him back in with a certain lineups, that kind of thing. So they kind of have their balance figured out there. I think they can kind of do a lot of the same stuff from last year with that. And also I like having Malcolm working with Rob in the second unit, just because like he's someone that can get downhill and he can get Rob a lot of lob actions. So that makes sense. So yeah, I think start double big still for the most part, depending on your matchup. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who there could be. Horford still works against Miami. Horford still works against Brooklyn. So yeah, whoever they're going to see in the first round probably
Atlanta
fits with Horford starting. Atlanta, Horford works against Collins. So yeah, so they're going to start Rob and Al, I would assume.
Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet.